We have two political experts joining us live tonight to talk about the poll results and the recall effort.
Yeah, we have Dunsmore. She's the campaign manager of Rescue California, a group advocating to recall Governor Newsom. We also have Fernando Guerra, a professor of political science at Loyola Marymount University. I want to thank you both for being here.
Now, before we get started, we should mention that we did put in requests with Governor Newsom's campaign, as well as the California Democratic Party, for someone to appear with us tonight, but they either didn't answer or declined our request. Let's jump right in. According to our new poll, from a policy standpoint, there is strong support for vaccine mandates, wide support across California, including many Republicans. Let's start with you, Ann. Are you surprised by these findings?
Not at all. I, on the other hand, know that the sentiment and the polling numbers still show that the top three issues have nothing to do with COVID. So COVID is really sort of the icing on the cake, so to speak, on all of this. I mean, the top issues were and still remain crime, poverty, homelessness, cost of living, those types of things. So, and included in cost of living is the highest housing prices, the, lowest decile in education, and the list just goes on and on and on. It's kind of hard to stick to the top three, but for sure, COVID makes it worse for him, I think, as your numbers now show.
Yeah, Fernando, what about you? What are your thoughts?
So I think it's always about turnout. I would actually make the argument that there are no wedge issues in California. The overwhelming number of voters or residents support what you would call a progressive Democratic agenda that Newsom was elected to implement. And so if voters turn out, if it's about 50% or more of a turnout, I think Newsom easily wins. And this poll indicates in terms of, he's even ahead if there's a lower turnout. And so it's all about Newsom getting Democrats to turn out. And of course, the pandemic did make things worse. While the original intent of the recall did mention the pandemic, it actually started before the pandemic. It, I think, really mobilized a lot of people in terms of their anger. One great thing about comparing governors or looking at this governor is not only can we compare this governor to previous California governors, right now we can compare Newsom to 49 other governors who are currently dealing with the pandemic, who are currently dealing with the increasing crime, who are currently dealing with economic recovery. And you can ask yourself, is he doing better than others? And mostly he is. However, Californians don't care about the comparison. They compare Newsom to a utopian idea of what a governor should be. And that's always difficult with these type of recall elections, is that you're asking, is he doing the best job he could? And many of us say, no, he's doing okay here, but over there he's not. And that's the difficulty of a recall campaign.
Yeah, and as the effort to recall Governor Newsom heads into its final month, Newsom faces what looks like a turnout challenge. That's members of his own Democratic Party. They say they don't plan to vote. So, Fernando, we'll start with you with this question. What do you make of that, and how close do you think that this could get?
Oh, it could. The polls indicate it could be very close if Democrats don't show up. He could still pull it off. But very clearly, the more people vote, the more likely Newsom will be retained. And the higher the turnout, the better for the governor. So his job really isn't convincing people against the recall. His job is convincing people to come out and take the recall seriously and come out and vote. He will get the Democrats. He will get every constituent part of the Democratic and progressive politics in California. He just has to get them to come out to vote.
Yeah, and Ann, how about you? How are you feeling about the turnout and what this could mean for this recall election?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and disagree respectfully with Fernando. It isn't a function of getting the Democrats. It's getting the number of Democrats that you need. And right now, the reasons that the recall is ahead is because his base is crumbling. And I would disagree that it's good to he did 2 weeks of advertising prior to all of these polls that showed us creeping up, and we hadn't spent a dime. He spent $15 million on Elizabeth Warren ads. I think one way to disaffect those that are sort of just to the left of center is to promote progressive left of left. And I think that's what you're starting to see. And the reason we're getting somewhere between 25 and 30% of the Democrats are voting for us. Another reason that it's bad is, when we looked at some polling, we did some hardcore questioning. And there were 58% of the people in the Bay Area, his area, gave him a D or an F on his handling of the homeless issue, 41% of which was Democrats. And you saw similar numbers down in LA. The whole reason, and so his base is LA and the Bay Area. And right now those are crumbling. And now he's pulled the Elizabeth Warren ad and he's going to substitute Joe Biden. And the question I've been getting from a lot of reporters is that better or worse? And where's Kamala Harris? She's not anywhere to be found. You have Nancy Pelosi saying she's going to put all of her political team in place. Well, it's 4 weeks. The pro-recall people have been working on this for over a year and a half, because remember, this is the third effort. So they banged on a lot of doors. They got a lot of signatures. And I just think it's a little too late.
All right, well, to wrap things up quickly here, overall, Ann, let's start with you. What are the biggest issues you're hearing for why Governor Newsom should be recalled? Still
pre-COVID. Like I said, homelessness, cost of living, and inside of that is vehicle registration fees, gas prices, home prices, and there's a budding insurance issue happening where you can't get your home insured. So you've got this daisy chain of houses that can't sell because they can't get insurance. The new owners can't get insurance. So then you have, the poverty levels, you have the cost of food is going to go through the roof. You have a famine level drought that's about to hit us hard. You can see it already in the Central Valley. I've traveled through the Central Valley now twice in the last 3 weeks. And it's hardcore. They are the #1 food source, not just for California, not just for the United States, but in the world. And you see little stories about how Joe Biden might not get reelected because of the cost of butter and eggs. That's going to start here. So that's another reason it's hitting the populations in California that typically vote Democrat, the Hispanics, the Black community. They're not going to, they're not happy. So they're either going to not vote or they're going to vote against him.
All right. Thank you, Ann. And finally, Fernando, quickly, the biggest issues you're hearing.
Well, I think Ann get a good narrative of a lot of the different issues that are faced by Californians. And Californians have, for the last 15 to 20 years, overwhelmingly have said in the way they vote that the democratic solutions that Newsom has been implementing and will continue to implement are the ones that they want. And even the CBS poll clearly indicates that even in the worst case scenario, that Newsom still pulls it out. And so there's just too many Democrats in the state. They're progressive. They want Democrats to govern California overwhelmingly at every level of government. And that, I believe, will continue to be the case. And I think the recall will be defeated probably by about 55 to 60%. Now, me saying that hurts Newsom because people say, oh, it's in the bag, I may not go out and vote. That's the key point. It's not in the bag until election day, and everybody will have to go out and and vote. The more the people vote, the more Newsom will be retained.
All right. Well, we want to thank you both for joining us right now, Ann Dunsmore and Fernando Guerra. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right.